Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 3 of the Ottercar AI Racing Series Clamshell Championship. Tonight here for round number 6 on the season for the Santa Ana 100. And in a shocking turn of events, we're actually at the track that we were scheduled to run at when the Season 3 schedule was posted all the way back, I believe, last September. So it's been coming in on close to a year since the Ottercar schedule was posted, and obviously with our little interdimensional rift incident, we have been kind of all over the place in terms of our schedule, but it's great for these drivers to be getting back on track, literally and metaphorically, here at the beautiful California Speedway. Coming into today's event, Toaster of the Void is our championship points leader right now. The only driver with 2 wins to their name here in season number 3. Then back in second, we have Garrett Hess, so far still winless in that number 52 machine, but doing a very solid job in the point standings. And then following after that, we've got Sam Houston and Mint_777 in third and fourth. Both of these drivers are locked into the playoffs. Then back in fifth, we have MF Beatus just a little ways back with Bloody Wolf, Ame Sakurmori, Dale Lemhart, Felix Moret, and Ash rounding out your top 10 in the point standings right now. As for the team standings, somewhat unsurprisingly, the Riders of Lock team of Toaster of the Void is our current championship points leader. That one single car team of Toaster of the Void being the only team with multiple wins to their name so far. Then back in second, we have Team Mopar with 119 points, only 11 points back from the Riders of Lock. Then we have again another single car team. That's Team Fuck Ash and Prince, up 3 positions after last week's race. Then Dale Demhart incorporated back and forth with the Clown College of Shiny back in 5th. So definitely very interesting to see. I mean, going through the championship point standings right now, our top 6 teams right now are all single car entries. Then back in 7th, we have Paul Gang Bottom Text, which is the first multi-car team in the standings right now. Then back in 8th, another multi-car team, that is Hybrid Development Team, followed by Dickmaster with the 32 characters or less organization rounding out the top 10 of the team standings. And that said, 50 laps up on the docket here at the California Speedway, so how about we take it on down trackside and take a look at our starting lineup. So take a look at our starting lineup. Starting out on the pole here, it's going to be the Texan man himself, Mr. Sam Houston, down there starting on the front with the 776 of Valnar for Blazed and Drunk Drivers, going to be leading the field to the green on the outside. Back for row number 2, we have the 14 Clown College entry of Juice Gigolo, followed by the 24 of Rally for Hybrid Development Team. Then back in row number 3, we have the Fendragon Motorsports Link Salvage entry of Dirt in that number 8 machine, followed by the number 93 ASRC Racing entry of Bloody Wolf. Back for row number 4, we have the 000 entry of Sarah, followed by the 777 entry of Mint_777. Then back for row 5, we have our current championship points leader, Toaster of the Void, down there with the 621 of Deeg to her outside. Back for row number 6, we have the 271 of Felix Marais in the Discover South Carolina entry, with the Fendragon Motorsports number 89 of Ash starting to his outside. Back for row 7, we have the number 7 machine, that's the Save Our Seas Foundation entry of Frosty C for Dorian Motorsports. Starting his outside in the number 37 machine, that's going to be the Riot Game entry of Ashley Queen. Back for row 8, we have the 818 Cryptid Command entry of MF Beatus. That's going to be one of the 32 characters or less drivers, that's the 330 of Lake starting his outside. Behind them, we have the number 52 Impact Racing entry for Team Mopar of Garrett Hess back there. And starting their outside in this row is going to be the numberless 369 of Drop Table Roster. Jumping back another row, we got the 33 of Dale Lemhart starting out back there for Dale Lemhart Incorporated. And they're outside in the number 12 machine, that's going to be the Void Stranger entry of Pav. Further back, we got the 1 machine of Med, that's one of the 2 Dickmaster drivers, with one of the blazed and drunk drivers of Madcap in the 38 machine McDonald's entry starting to their outside. Next up, we got Cozy in the number 22, one of the Paul Gang Bottom Text drivers starting back there, along with the Windows 98 entry of Clip It, another driver for the 32 characters or less organization. Then once again, getting really far back in the field here, we have the 111 Food Corp entry of Ash Amati, one of the two Newport Dual Disc drivers, and the highest of the two Newport Dual Disc drivers right now, starting all the way back there. And he's starting his outside in the Micro Century 666 entry. That's going to be our favorite track menace, Zoe. Then further back, we have the 3 machine, that's the Piezo entry of Thirds, followed by the other Newport Dual Disc driver, that is the 48 Crown Royal entry of Prince Kafame. Going back another row, we got the Tiger Conservation Campaign number 24 of Equa C here, also for Dorian Motorsports. That's going to be the unaffiliated number 21 of August to her outside. Then going even further back here, we have the number 99 New South Wales entry of Sarkin back here, the other Deckmaster driver, followed by the 88 VR Chat entry of Ashley. Then finally rounding out the very tail end of the field here, that is going to be the hybrid development team number 0 of Ame Sakramori. That said, that is how things will be lining up here for today's race. 50 laps on the docket out of the California Speedway, and we are just about to get things rolling here. Everyone now rolling. Sam Houston leading the field to green here. Valnar to his outside in the 776 entry. 33 entrants as usual, 50 laps the distance here at the California Speedway. And the pace car is making the dive down to the safety of pit lane. Holding, waiting. Green flag up the air here at the California Speedway. And off to an early lead for Sam Houston as we are fanning out 3 and 4 wide behind him going down into turn number 1. You know what? Why not? I respect it. Going full send really early in the goings of things here. But all these drivers that are duking it out with each other 2 by 2, sometimes even 3 by 3, 4 by 4, are just allowing that 18 machine of Sam Houston to build up an early gap here. 4 wide, still a bit of contact there. Felix Marais, Toaster of the Void, Dirt, and Mint _ 777 all duking it out here. Now they've at least gotten it down to 3 wide. That's a little bit less scary, but still most of the field here is 3 wide right now. Coming across the line, we successfully complete lap number 1, and that first lap lead is going to be scored to the 18 of Sam Houston. That said, he's not pulling up as much of a lead as first thought here. That 18 machine, he's got the 776 of Valnar all over his rear bumper, and the 26 of Rally is down to the inside. They might be able to make a big move there, and just like that, they are going to get around Valnar. Might just be able to get around the 18 machine of Sam Houston as well. Sure enough, Valnar is going to be able to, or excuse me, Rally is going to be able to. And just like that, we have a new race leader for lap number 2. But of course, still in the early goings of this thing, still a long race left to go. So far, so good around the field. We haven't had any incidents yet, which is always great to see. But knowing these Ottercar drivers as I do, I wouldn't hold my breath for that to stay the way that is for the remainder of this race. Especially with how much beating and banging is going on here throughout the rest of the field. It's a little bit concerning to see, honestly. They're starting to organize things a little bit better here. At least it's now mostly all 2 by 2 instead of 3 by 3. But we'll just have to see how things play out here. Long race, of course. Pit stops always going to be a factor. Should they be under the green flag or should they be under caution remains to be seen here. But who knows, we might actually see some split strategies for once, because I feel like we haven't had any of those in a while. Basically everyone in the field has followed the same strategy for most of these races so far. But coming across the line to kick off lap number 5, Rally is still your race leader up here in the front. Valnar in the 776 back here in second, but big move down the inside from the 7 machine of Frosty C. And Frosty might just be able to move all the way up to the lead just off of that. Side by side battle for the lead. And just like that, Frosty C, should he be able to stay up here to come across the start-finish line, will be your 3rd driver here tonight to have led at least 1 lap. And he's looking pretty good so far, so pulling away from the field just a little bit in that Save Our Seas Foundation entry. That'll be another driver with a lap led to their name here this evening. Some very good battling up at the front of the field. And there's the 8 machine of Dirt in that Link Salvage entry, who is up inside the podium right now. One of the better runs we've seen out of that 8 machine. I actually believe this might just be his first podium appearance here in Ottercar season number 3. Of course, can't hold your breath too much. Still a long way left to go. But this driver near the bottom of the point standings coming into tonight's event. So a very solid finish for them could be a huge deal, especially as we start to head towards the playoffs here in these next couple of races. Of course, the next event after this one is the final round of the regular season before the playoffs get going. So definitely, I mean, only 2 more races for these drivers to aren't super great on points to try and lock themselves in. Of course, 12 playoff spots, only 7 races to lock drivers in, so the final 5 spots will just be given in the order of just highest regular points. So even if you haven't won a race yet, having some consistent finishes really matters here in the Clamshell Championship. And Dirt is one driver that, I mean, really right now Dirt's in a situation where he needs to win races if he wants to make it into the playoffs. A little bit further back here, battling with the number 93 machine is Felix Marais here, battling out with Blue Wolf. Both these drivers teammates for Paul Gang Bottom Tax, excuse me. Felix now up to the 5th position, Blue Wolf not far behind. So lots of shuffling going on throughout the field here, and 8 laps under green. I mean, that's really not a lot at all by any form of racing standards, but for the Clamshell Championship, with how this season's gone so far, 8 laps under the green flag is actually a pretty solid performance here. A little bit of contact there between Valnar and Rally up for the 3rd position. Valnar backs off just a little bit there. And still Frosty C leads the field here. Frosty has gotten a win here in season number 3 of the Clamshell Championship, so he is locked in right now. He doesn't necessarily need another win to his name to be in the playoffs. Of course, there is always the playoff points, so getting another win certainly is not a bad thing for him by any means, and it's not, you know, to no effect. But would be good to see as many of these drivers manage to win their way into the playoffs as possible. So we'll just have to see how things play out here as we officially get through to lap number 10. 10 laps under the green flag again. I know I've been saying this, but I'm pretty impressed with how long these drivers have ran green so far, because so far here this season, it has been very wrecky, very much kind of a disaster at a lot of these races. But so far, everyone's doing all right here tonight. And looking around the field, everyone is within 4 seconds of the leader. Nobody has had any mechanical failures yet. So, so far so good here for the Santa Ana 100. Finally back at a track that we were actually scheduled to run at. So maybe, just maybe, that's what these drivers need to have as a good luck charm to have a clean green flag race. And I'll tell you what, these drivers are putting on a heck of a show. They're keeping it close to each other. Lots of battles going on all throughout the field right now. And of course, we've been taking a lot of a look at our front runner, so how about we take a little bit further look of a back here. Outside of the top 10 as we cross the line, it's going to be the 777 entry of Mint back there. which means the 13 of Toaster of the Void, the 89 of Ash, both drivers we haven't really talked about, are now both up into the playoffs. Then we have a caution flag out on the speedway, looks like. Sure enough, the yellow lights are on. We race back to the checkered here, so we'll see if anyone has anything to say for Frosty C here as our race leader, and obviously, no, they do not. He's going to lead the field back to the start-finish line. But neck and neck for Bloody Wolf and Dirt. Dirt's going to cross the line second. Dirt will be the driver leading the outside line coming back to the green. So taking a look back here at the 111 machine, poor Ash Amati. I feel like he has had just terrible luck every single race here this season, battling for the 31st position, and just gets slammed into by the 330 of Lake, collects the 666 entry of Zoe. And of course, it's the two victims here that got the most damage. Lake just drives away without any care in the world. Taking another look down here at that 330 of Lake in the 32nd position. Just kind of sends it on into the corner too deep. Gets up in the 111, and everyone just kind of all gets stuck together. But again, she drifts a little bit. No damage to that 330 machine. She is completely unscathed, despite being the one that actually caused the caution flag there. And it's looking like here under this caution, most of the field seems to be angling towards heading down pit lane. Sure enough, yes, they are. Is there anyone not making the call to come down pit lane is honestly a bigger question. And it looks like the answer is no. As we filter through the field, sure enough, every single driver makes the call to come down pit lane here. Who will win the battle off of it is the big question. You see Frosty C come down into his box. He was the race leader coming into pit lane here. Will he be able to hang on to the lead on the way out? Looking like a pretty routine stop here for the 7. He brings it back out onto the driving part of pit lane. Will anyone beat him back out? You see the Fendragon Motorsports number 8 of Dirt, not quite fast enough. So it looks like your 3 front runners here under this yellow are going to stay the same after their pit cycle. Getting ready to come back to the green flag here. Will be 16 laps officially completed here in tonight's event as we cross the line. It's going to be Frosty C and Dirt leading the field to green. Then Bloody Wolf, Sam Houston for row number 2. Garrett Hess and Felix Murray for row number 3. Valnar and Ash for row 4. Then it's going to be Rally and Ashley Queen rounding out your top 10 coming back to the field. All drivers involved in that caution are still on the lead lap and are still running, so all 33 drivers taking the green flag here. And this time it's going to be Dirt off to an early lead in that Lynx Salvage number 8 machine. I believe this is the first time that we have seen Dirt lead laps here in the Ottercar Clamshell Championship in that Fendragon Motorsports entry. Always great to see new front runners up at the top of the field. And you gotta consider their Fendragon Motorsports teammate of Ash in the 89 is only just a couple of spots back. They are battling their way up to the front here as well. But we are side by side for the race lead. Frosty C down on the inside, Dirt up on the high line. Looks like Dirt will still have the advantage here, at least for the time being. Hanging on to another lap led, but now Garrett Hess down on the insides trying to make some moves here in that Impact Racing Dodge. Garrett, a driver we have seen have some very considerable success so far in the Clamshell Championship. Pretty much a consistent front runner here. And again, it's another single car team. Team Mopar, Impact Racing, only fielding that 52 machine by itself. But Garrett Hess has demonstrated that he surely knows how to wheel and deal here in the Ottercar Clamshell Championship, regardless of what kind of track we throw at him. And while our 2 front runners break away, we are once again trying to push it 4 wide back for 4th on back here. Felix Murray and Ash in the 89 2x2. Sam Houston, Bloody Wolf, and Frosty C 3 wide back here. And Valnar is trying to get it on it too. We also have the 12 machine of Pav back there trying to make some moves up towards the front of this battle here as well. And it looks like the 621 of Deeg is the last car in the top 10, at least for the time being. With how much beating and banging's going on and jostling for position that they have going on here in this front section of the field, really, it's kind of impossible to tell who actually is in the top 10 right now. You can see 4 wide back at the back of the field there. Even with a bit of damage on that 666 entry of Zoe, she is still keeping up with this pack of back drivers. And 11 of Ashimati also missing his rear bumper, keeping up with this pack of drivers. 20 laps going to be officially completed this time by. And looking back at the tail end of the field, just going through here. Sarkin back there in the number 99, not quite having the evening he's looking for. MF Beatus back here. August, Ashimati, both of the Newport dual disc drivers nose to tail back there. Ashimati in the 111 and Prince Kofame in the 48. And then we got Clip It back here along with thirds. Dale Themhart falling back several positions here as well, which is unfortunate to see. But really just going through his driver. Oh, caution. We got a driver around and oh no, there's a driver upside down. Oh, Lord, it's the big one here at California Speedway. They're still wrecking. So taking a look down here at the 777 entry of Mint_777. Looks like the drama starts between him and the 13 of Toaster of the Void. Just make contact, try to get hooked together, end up down the apron. Toaster of the Void's fine, but comes back up, collects Ame Sakuramori, collects Juice Jigaloo, collects Clip It, Ashimati, Prince Kofame. Even more drivers than we really had to count. We're going to have to break out the slow-mo camera for this one to get a proper idea of who all was involved in this. All right, taking a top-down look of things here now so we can try and get a little bit of a better idea of what all went down, who all was involved. Of course, like I said, things started here with Toaster of the Void and Mint_777. But once he goes back up to the outside wall, he just collects more and more and more drivers. It seemed like it was the incident that would never end. Toaster of the Void continues okay. He gets up on the outside wall. There's the 0 of Ame Sakuramori, Juice Gigolo. Then C, Clip It, Prince Kofame. It looks like Sarkin getting some damage there as well. So that's a lot of pretty solid race cars all taken out of the running here. And it definitely looks like there's some expired motors down there. There are several drivers that are not making any attempts to move here. So we might just have a couple of retirements from that second incident here. So under this caution, it does look like we will have a couple of more takers down on pit lane here, including our 2 race leaders of Garrett Hess and Ash. Felix Marais and a couple of other drivers electing to stay out. So really, for the most part, it looks like further back drivers that are electing to come down pit lane aside from our 2 race leaders. Otherwise, drivers from about 3rd on back to about probably 15th or so have all elected to stay out on the speedway. So a bit of a split strategy here, which is great to see because we don't always have that here in the Ottercar Clamshell Championship. We'll see if it works out for him. I mean, it seems to me like we're going to have more caution, so the drivers staying out on the field, I'd imagine, are just going to be waiting for the next caution to come out, and then they'll all make their stops, but we'll just have to see how things play out here for them. So once again, getting ready to come back to take the green flag here once again for the Santa Ana 100. Going to be halfway in tonight's event as we cross the start-finish line. It's going to be Felix Marais and Dirt leading the field to green here. Lots of drivers with some pretty terminal damage, possibly outright race ending. But Clip It, Mint_777, Juice Gigolo, Ame Sakuramori, C, Prince Kofame, and Sarkin are all still down on pit lane getting work done on their cars. Several of them have outright retired from tonight's event. So it's going to be cutting that 33 car field down to probably about 25 now as we cross the line and put 25 laps in the books here. Green flag up in the air once again at California Speedway. Once again, Dirt off to an early lead. that outside line definitely seems to have some more life to it when they come to the green flag compared to the drivers on the inside. Felix Murray building up a tiny little bit of a gap here, really not all that much, but a tiny little bit. And Deeg, excuse me, trying to follow through on the outside, but Felix squeezing them up to the wall. They're not quite able to make the move happen there. Then it's all stacked up just behind as we see some forceful moves 3 wide here. Thirds in that 3 machine in that Piezo entry we haven't talked about much, as it sounds like there's some beaten bacon back in the back there. But lights are out on the pace car, so we are not going under caution for that incident. Looks like Ash Amati, Valnar, and the 666 entry of Zoe were all involved. But yeah, the green flag's still out in the air. There's more contact going on here as the 88 of Ashley, not for the first time here in the Clamshell Championship, seems to be trying to spin the number 93. But everyone's still keeping it rolling, and we are still under the green flag despite all of that kerfuffle. And Felix Murray seems to still be leading the field here, as Dirt has fallen back a couple of spots. Deeg now running in second in that 621 machine. Thirds back in third in the Piezo entry. That's going to be Rally in fourth. And then once again, we find ourselves 3 wide here for fifth with Drop Table Roster, Pav, and Dirt here. Both of these 2 Czech drivers having pretty solid runs here this evening, up inside the top 10, even up inside the top 5 actually. But still got to hold on to it for another 22 laps, and that is not going to be an easy feat. We've seen how aggressive these drivers have been with each other. And Lake trying to make some big moves up in the middle as we once again send it 3 wide. Now Sarah on the outside and the 89 of Ash on the inside. 2 rows of 3 deep here. Lake trying to find a gap to go through. And Lake, mind you, this 330 machine at one point in tonight's race caused the first caution for nearly last place. And now she is running up inside the top 10s, trying to make moves to get up inside the top 5. What a crazy race it has been. Certainly, it seems like nothing is certain with these drivers. They've been all over the place here, both in terms of track usage and in actual running order. Pav trying to follow Dirt through and maybe give him a little bit of a push to get around this 330 machine. Not quite making it work though. Dirt has to get on the brakes a little bit on corner entry. That's going to allow Lake to make the move. And now they're checking up here. Little bit of contact there between Pav and Med. Med, another driver we really have not seen it all here this evening, now running up inside of the top 10. How did that happen? Everyone is beating and banging and shuffling for position here. Cozy here, running here up inside the 13th position, likely higher than that, and it just hasn't updated until she crosses the line here. And sure enough, coming across the line, yep, we get our update there. Cozy in that 22 machine, still running inside the top 15. But really, I mean, I feel pretty confident in saying that anyone in like these top 20, yeah, top 20 all the way back to MF Beatus, seem like they still have good odds at winning this race. I mean, everyone is within 2 seconds of the race leader, which is pretty considerable at a track like this, especially considering how many cars are this close together, sending it 3, sometimes even 4 wide. Now the 3 wide is for Toaster of the Void on the bottom, Garrett Hess in the middle, Pav up high, nearly trying to send it 4 here with Dirt, but Pav thinks wiser of it, lifts off the gas a little bit. We're sending it 4 wide with Med, why not? Every time it seems like there's a break, every time it seems like there's a little bit of a respite to catch their breath, someone else sees a gap and they send the car in. Also, third was the leader last time by, so that's another driver with at least 1 lap led to their name. And now the 369 of Drop Table Roster for 32 characters or less is leading for the first time here this evening. So that brings the total up to, I think, 7 different drivers that have led laps so far here in tonight's event. And side by side for the race lead, Thirds is actually still being scored as the race leader here. Nope, now it's updated to the 369 of Drop Table Roster, but Thirds has made the move back up on him. Tell you what, another long green flag stretch in the books here, and despite that, everyone's still very closely bunched together here. We haven't really seen any breakaway cars that are really just stealing the show from the rest of the field here. Everyone is very equally matched here for today's event. But as the laps grow longer here and we get later into tonight's event, I'm starting to get concerned about those drivers that stayed out and didn't pit. If we don't have another caution here soon, we're going to have to see green flag pit stops. And some of these drivers, I don't know if they'll necessarily have fuel to the end, depending on when they pit here. But for now, thirds and drop table roster really don't seem to be caring about it. They are both just full sending right now. And now drop table roster has the lead going down the front straightaway. So this time around, drop table roster will be scored as your race leader. And now the Fendragon Motorsports number 89 of Ash has moved up here. And it's just like, where are these drivers coming from? It feels like only a couple laps ago, these drivers were outside the top 15. Now they've moved all the way up to second. Could we see the 89 of Ash be the next driver to get some extra laps led to his name on the record book? But as we head through turns 3 and 4, get another lap clicked off. Going to be 15 to go here. And really a very solid race here by all these drivers. Starting to fan out just a little bit at the front. Sarah in the 000 entry has now moved her way up inside the top 5 here. So another driver that's really we haven't had a chance to talk all that much about that is making some big moves here to get up towards the front of the field. Cozy now up inside the top 10 as well, as Felix Moret is beginning to fall back in that 271. You gotta remember, he brought the field to the green under that restart. Now falling all the way back to 10th, getting pressure from behind from Med and two-time winner Toaster of the Void back there. Sam Houston, that 18 machine, also no laughing matter. He's putting some pressure up here on the 271 as well, as we're getting ready to send it 3 wide once again. Fortunately, this is a very wide racetrack, so they're able to make 3 wide work decently consistently. But always a little bit sketchy to see these drivers send it in 3 wide like that. Goes here in the 22. Now trying to put the pressure down on the 52 of Garrett Streets, and looks like she manages to make a move up just a little bit. But this might just be the start of green flag pit stop. Sure enough, Cozy is going to come on down to pit lane here. She did not come under the yellow, so she needed to get that stop in there. Is there anyone else coming down with her? Does not look like it. So Cozy going to be pitting all by herself here, but the window now is officially open for these drivers to come down pit lane, and the 89 of Ash is now your race leader. And it looks like he has been scored for leading at least 1 lap, so we're going all the way up, potentially looking at maybe 10 different race leaders here in tonight's event. That would be pretty huge here. But just to confirm it, he's going to click off another lap from the very front of the field in that 89 machine. So he for sure has led at least 1 lap here in tonight's event. Both these two drivers kind of pulling away from the rest of the field here. The Lake in the 330 now up to 3rd. Then it's going to be the 000 of Sarah and the 52 of Garrett Hess battling it out here. As more of these drivers seem to be starting to think about coming down to pit lane, it's getting a bit more spread out here. Cozy making her way back out of pit lane. As we take a look around the field, Rally has come down. Toaster the Void, Deeg, Felix Moret, MF Beatus have all come down. Pav, thirds. So a lot of takers down on pit lane under the green flag here, and this should be the final pit stop of the day for a lot of these drivers. However, Ash and Drop Table Roster are continuing to stay out, and they are continuing to duke it out here for the race lead, even as they do pull up a bit of a larger gap over the rest of the field here. They are definitely not going easy on each other. Now we see some potential lap traffic come into the mix here. That's the 776 of Valnar currently running back in the somewhere position. Okay, he is officially a lap down. That's what I thought. He's running all the way back outside the top 25 right now. And he's going to get put another lap down just like that as Drop Table Roster and Ash move around him here. Going to be 9 laps left to go here for the Santa Ana 100, though. And our 2 front runners, they are pulling away from the rest of the field. Again, I'm starting to have concerns about their fuel mileage because I don't think that either of these 2 drivers came down pit lane under that yellow. I mean, I may be mistaken. I may be wrong on that. But I don't think that either of these drivers have come down yet. So it's now just kind of a game of chicken. Who is going to make the first call to come to pit lane? Or are they just going to run each other to the very last fumes of fuel that they have, and then maybe they'll both come down at the same time? Lots of questions still up in the air here as we close in on the final couple of laps of tonight's event. But let's take a look back, see how the rest of the field is doing here. 330 of Lake is back in third. Then the 000 of Sarah is battling it out here with Sam Houston and Garrett Hess and the One Machine of Med. And she is slowing down a little bit, so it's looking like she might be trying to get down to pit lane and just not able to. Blue Wolf back here in the 93 up in the 8th position. It's going to be Madcap in 9th. And the 88 of Ashley all the way back in 10th right now. She's made some solid improvements so far here in tonight's event. 3 wide once again with Frosty C and Cozy. Cozy making some big moves down to the inside there. And now we see thirds coming back into the picture, running back in the 15th position, a lap down right now. So what we're looking at right here is roughly the very end of the drivers still on the lead lap. But up at the front, it's still just this constant battle between Ash and Drop Table Roster here. And coming across the line now, coming towards 7 to go. And it's still neck and neck. Neither of these drivers want to come down pit lane. Right now at this point, I think neither of them are even considering fuel as something that exists and they have to worry about. They're both just pushing both these cars as hard as they can run them for as long as they can run them, and just hoping that the checkered flag or a caution comes out sometime here soon for them to get fuel. Otherwise, they might just find themselves both completely out of luck here this evening. Only 0.16 dividing the two of them as they cross the finish line there. And really both of them are still very equally matched here. Both at a 2-second lead over the rest of the field. Of course, that said, Valnar in the 776 acting as a little bit of a pick between our 2 front runners and third on back here to 5th. And these drivers are battling it out with each other pretty relentlessly as well. So that's part of what's slowing them down, is just they're so busy battling against each other that they're slowing each other down collectively and allowing Ash and Drop Table Roster to pull away. But right now, it's the 18 of Sam Houston that's leading this little battle. And it looks like he's going to finally get around that 776 of Valnar here, potentially. Then at 3 wide with Lake. Nearly contact there, and it looks like, I was going to say Lake had the advantage, but no, the 18 pulls ahead here in this battle. That's going to move him on up to the 3rd position here. As the 52 of Garrett Hess moves down the inside, he's going to get around that 330 of Lake here on corner entry as well. Up at the front, it's still Ash and Drop Table Roster. And I lied, Drop Table Roster's finally giving up the ghost. He needs to come down pit lane for fuel. Ash still running on the field in that 89 machine. Now uncontested with a 2.5 second lead, but does he have the fuel to make it these final couple of laps? I'm not sure that he is. We'll have to keep an eye on him. Of course, I want to keep looking at these battles going on here now for the 2nd position between Garrett Hess and the 18 of Sam Houston here. Will this Sven Dragon Motorsports number 89 come down to pit lane this time by? No, he is not. He is going to keep it out there. Same with Garrett Hess. Same with the 18 of Sam Houston. Then we have Cozy and the 93 of Bloody Wolf battling it out here. I believe... I'm not seeing her on my time and scoring board. Okay, Cozy is a lap down there. That's the issue. Everyone that's coming down pit lane under the green flag is getting lapped right now. So everyone from 12th on back is at least one lap down right now. And unless we see our front runners come down here in these next couple of laps, that might not change. We see some big checkups here going through turns 3 and 4, so we might see some more of the front runners coming down. Garrett Hess comes down. The 18 of Sam Houston comes down as well. So does our race leader of Ash, also coming down pit lane with 2 to go as he comes across the line. That will have Bloody Wolf as our new race leader here for the time being in that ASRC number 93. Just has to make it 2 more laps here. And looking so far so good. Does he have enough fuel to make it? Because obviously none of these other drivers do apparently. And he is slowing down here. Has a 5-second lead, but he's going to be coming on down here. And with him coming down, of course, all of these cars going around him are all lapped cars, just getting their lap back. Madcap also following him down in that 38 machine. Madcap was the second place driver. But coming across the line here, that's going to put the white flag up in the air. So one more lap left to go here at the California Speedway. For the time being, Bloody Wolf is still being scored as our race leader here. But I believe, since he's down on pit lane, it should cycle back around to Ash here, if I'm not mistaken, in that 89 machine. And coming across the finish line, Ash should have the race win here. The checkered flag is up. Did I just see caution lights on the speedway? Hang on here, race fans. Let's take a look down here. Go through the field. Where is the safety car? I want to verify this. The lights are on the safety car, but it's after the white flag came out. So despite the fact that the safety car is coming out, this race is over. The checkered flag was taken. But race control is saying that the number 93 of Bloody Wolf is our race winner instead of Ash. They're saying Ash finished in 3rd. We'll see how things line up here under the safety car, because ultimately race control knows what's going on, and they're going to have drivers line up behind the safety car as the correct running order. But it looks like they're saying the 93 of Bloody Wolf managed to win the race here, and I'm not 100% positive how that is. Of course, we got the 89 of Ash here in 2nd, the 52 of Garrett Hess in 3rd, the 18 of Sam Houston in 4th, 369 of Drop Table Roster in 5th. So like this whole running order behind the safety car makes sense here. But they're saying that they've given the race win to the 93 of Bloody Wolf. We might need to take a look back here and figure out what all went down here that's taken the race win from Ash here. So doing some investigation, I figured out the issue with how the timing and scoring board only updates at the end of every lap. I was mistaken on what lap Ash was on. Ash was only taking the white flag there, not the checkered flag. But while we have the cars pulled up here, we're going to take a look back and see what brought out that actual caution flag there. It's going to be with the 13 of Toaster of the Void and the 1 of Med, along with the 8 of Dirt. Dirt just kind of nudges the 1 of Med, sends them up into 13 of Toaster of the Void, and that's what brings out the caution flag. But no, Ash was not taking the checkered flag. He was taking the white flag, and due to the fact that he had pitted the lap prior, he was scored 3 seconds back from Bloody Wolf, but then Bloody Wolf pitted. So there was actually closer to like a 20-second gap between the two of them, and it just hadn't updated because neither of them had crossed the line again since then with how the pit cycles were. But at the time of caution, Bloody Wolf was the race winner, not Ash. So that was just a mistake on my part. So now that we've gotten all of the confusion of the finishing order figured out and understood what exactly happened, Bloody Wolf has been officially confirmed as your race winner here for the Santa Ana 100. Following just behind is going to be the number 89 of Ash, who should if the caution flag did not fly there, Ash likely would have taken home the race win. Because, I mean, he had the speed that had the momentum. Bloody Wolf was still coming off of pit lane. He had not gotten up to speed when the caution flag came out. But unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles, and Ash finishes the race back in second, only 3 seconds back from a race win. Back in third is going to be Garrett Hess, followed by Sam Houston in the 18 machine, with Drop Table Roster rounding out your top 5 here today. Back in 6th is going to be the 88 machine of Ashley, followed by the 22 of Cozy back in 7th. And that's going to be the 3 of Thirds back in 8th, with the 38 of Madcap back in 9th, and the 621 machine of Deeg rounding out your top 10. Back in 11th, we have the 12 machine of Pav, followed by the 818 of MF Beatus back in 12th. Then 13th will be going to the 271 of Felix Marais, with the 000 of Sarah back in 14th, and Lake in the 330, rounding out your 15th position. Back in 16th, it's the 8 of Dirt that was involved in that caution right across the white flag there. Then it's the 37 of Ashley Queen back in 17th, followed by the 26 of Rally back in 18th. Toaster of the Void back in 19th, with Frosty C rounding out your 20th position here. 21st going to be going to the 666 entry of Zoe, followed by the 1 machine of Med back in 22nd. That's going to be the 33 of Dale Demhart back in 23rd, followed by the 21 of August back in 24th. 25th going to go to the 776 of Valnar, followed by the 111 of Ash Amati back in 26th. That's going to be the 98 of Clipit back in 27th, with Mint_777 back in 28th. Then it's going to be Juice Gigolo back in 29th for the Clown College entry, with Ame Sakuramori rounding out the 30th position. 31st going to be going to the 24 of Ikla C, followed by the 48 of Prince Kofame back in 32nd. And finally, back at the very tail end of the field here, going to be the number 99 machine of Sarkin. That said, that's just about all we've got here from the Santa Ana 100. Heck of a race here at the California Speedway. Next week, we head over to Daytona International Speedway for the Crescent Lake 100, the final race of the regular season before we kick off our round of 12 of the playoffs. And what a season has been so far, Daytona. What a better track than that to be what decides our playoff drivers. That said, thank you all for tuning in here today, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a good evening, race fans.